welcome back to our channel. In a world where modern coins often blend into the background noise of everyday life, where cents and nickels clink in pockets and pile in forgotten jars, the year 2005 quietly delivered a piece of American numismatic history that most people never knew they were holding. The 1-cent penny coin minted that year, small and copper-colored, would go on to hide a story so valuable that it would one day ignite the curiosity of collectors, historians, and everyday citizens alike. Most saw it simply as a coin with Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile, as countless others had been before it. But within the unassuming rolls of 2005 pennies, something rare, something remarkable, and something incredibly valuable began to emerge. The 2005 penny, like its many predecessors, bore the enduring face of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, a design that had been in use since 1909 to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this image had become an American icon, recognized and respected. By 2005, the reverse still featured the Lincoln Memorial, a structure symbolic of national unity and reverence, a fixture since 1959. This coin was supposed to represent a bridge between generations, a standard bearer of American change, quite literally. But 2005 would soon be remembered for something that made it stand apart. Minted in both Philadelphia and Denver, the 2005 1-cent coins came into circulation during a time of routine. There were no major overhauls or national commemorations directly tied to the penny that year, no anticipated design shifts. It was, on the surface, a year like any other. But those who examined the coins closely began to notice anomalies, subtle differences, errors in the striking process, or even irregularities in the metal composition that hinted at something unique. Some coins bore double dies, resulting in Lincoln's profile or the inscriptions being faintly mirrored or blurred. Others were struck off-center or on incorrect planchets, meaning the coin might have been struck on a blank intended for a foreign coin or even another U.S. denomination. These errors, often undetectable without a magnifier, turned a common coin into a collector's dream. There were also rumors of design varieties, tiny deviations in the placement of letters, the shape of the numbers in the date, or the definition of Lincoln's jawline and tie. In the world of coin collecting, these small differences could mean everything. Collectors began seeking out 2005 pennies with these traits, not as curiosities, but as rare prizes. Each misstrike, each error, each subtle shift became a symbol of uniqueness and rarity in a world where millions of other coins looked the same. These weren't accidents to be discarded, they were opportunities to own something truly one-of-a-kind. As more collectors took notice, the numismatic world began to buzz. Auctions started including rare 2005 pennies in their catalogs. Coin grading services reported a growing number of submissions for that year's 1-cent pieces, with specialists eager to determine the authenticity and grade of each coin. Over time, stories surfaced of exceptional finds, pristine 2005 pennies with mint errors, preserved in near-perfect condition, being sold for jaw-dropping prices. These weren't hypothetical estimates or speculative values. These were confirmed transactions, documented and celebrated. In the middle of this growing excitement, a stunning revelation solidified the 2005 penny's legendary status. Depending on the type of error, the condition of the coin, and the rarity of the variation, some 2005 1-cent coins were commanding prices between $50,000 and $95,000. For a coin that originally had the value of a single cent, this transformation was nothing short of astonishing. The notion that a single, overlooked penny tucked away in an old drawer or resting quietly in a forgotten jar could now hold such immense financial value was both thrilling and surreal. And it wasn't just one coin, it was several, each with its own story, its own journey from minting floor to display case. Imagine the joy of a casual coin collector discovering one of these treasures, not through luck, but through observation and passion. A man in Michigan, sorting through childhood collections inherited from his grandfather, uncovered a 2005 penny with a dramatic off-center strike and visible doubling on the date. Sent for grading, it received a near-mint state designation and was eventually auctioned for over $60,000. Another coin, found by a teenager in North Carolina while sorting change for a school project, turned out to be struck on a planchet meant for a foreign denomination, its weight and coloration slightly off from standard specs. That coin, too, was authenticated, graded, and sold for a sum that paid for the teen's college tuition. The fascination with the 2005 penny didn't stop at errors alone. Some of the appeal lies in its symbolism, a coin from the dawn of a new millennium, carrying the legacy of Lincoln, yet produced during a time of relative quiet in the mint's history. It's this juxtaposition of normalcy and anomaly that makes the coin so compelling. People expect the unexpected from commemorative coins or limited editions. But when rarity and value appear in an otherwise standard year, it feels like a hidden chapter in history has been opened. As this interest continued to swell, communities of collectors and enthusiasts began to flourish online. Forums, YouTube channels, and dedicated websites emerged, sharing tips on how to spot valuable 2005 pennies, how to interpret signs of errors, and how to preserve the integrity of a potential treasure. Coin shows began featuring specialized panels and discussions solely on modern penny errors, with 2005 often at the center of the conversation. The coin had become a phenomenon, discussed not only for its monetary value but also for the story it told about precision, chance, and discovery. For the U.S. Mint, such attention often leads to introspection. While errors are never intentional, the fact that such coins ignite public fascination underscores the delicate nature of coin production. A slight misalignment, a wrong planchet loaded into the press, or a die engraved with an imperfection, all can give birth to coins that are imperfect by design standards but perfect in the eyes of collectors. These flaws transform mass-produced currency into limited edition artistry. As time continues to pass, the number of 2005 pennies with these rare traits naturally decreases. Some are lost forever, spent unknowingly and circulated into oblivion. Others sit unrecognized in homes across America, waiting to be rediscovered. But those already certified and sold become benchmarks, defining the coin's place in collector history and ensuring its legacy endures. They serve as reminders that treasure doesn't always sparkle and shine. Sometimes, it's small, copper-colored, and fits snugly between your fingers. The journey of the 2005 1-cent penny coin is a testament to how the smallest things can hold the greatest worth. It's a story of chance and attention to detail, of history and modernity intertwined. For anyone holding a penny minted that year, the next step might just be the most exciting one: flipping it over, examining its edges, studying its features, and asking the simple but thrilling question, could this be the one? The year 2000 was one such year. It marked the beginning of a new millennium, full of hope, apprehension, and promise. Technology surged ahead, the world braced itself for change, and people all across America clutched onto a renewed sense of curiosity about what the future might hold. Amidst this wave of cultural and technological momentum, something remarkably subtle entered the pockets of millions, unnoticed by most, yet destined for a spotlight of its own. It was the United States 1-cent coin, the penny minted in the year 2000. At first glance, it looked like any other modern penny. Copper-coated zinc, round, light, and stamped with the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. That face, dignified and iconic, had been a symbol of integrity, resilience, and unity ever since Victor David Brenner first immortalized it in 1909. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stood proudly, a solemn and enduring tribute to a president whose legacy refused to fade. But buried in the simplicity of that coin's appearance, something quietly extraordinary was happening. The 2000 penny, while not marking a design anniversary or commemorative milestone, quickly caught the attention of observant collectors. For the average person, it was just a cent, a tool of commerce, flipped into fountains or lost beneath couch cushions. But in the eyes of a numismatist, the 2000 penny had stories to tell. It emerged from the Philadelphia and Denver mints in mass quantities, and while the bulk of those coins were perfectly ordinary, a few were minted with distinct and highly unusual characteristics. Coins that should never have existed began showing up in the most unexpected places: laundry rooms, old jars, parking meters, school desks. Their rarity wasn't declared in fanfare or ceremony, it was whispered in imperfections. These rare 2000 pennies were coins that bore misalignments, doubling in the inscriptions, striking on wrong planchets, and die errors. Some were minted with such precision errors that entire words appeared slightly offset, or Lincoln's features appeared duplicated by a faint, ghost-like outline. Others had smooth edges where they shouldn't, and some were noticeably lighter or heavier than standard due to being struck on foreign planchets. A few bore the unmistakable signs of transitional composition errors, residual effects from the changeover in base metal formulas that occurred in the mid-1980s but which still managed to affect the occasional piece even 15 years later. These weren't mistakes in the traditional sense. They were tiny hiccups in the meticulous machinery of coin production, tiny flaws that turned the mundane into the miraculous. When collectors and graders began identifying these anomalies, the world of coin collecting took notice. Suddenly, the year 2000 wasn't just the birth of a new era. It became the birth of a hidden treasure for those who knew where, and how, to look. Coin shows began showcasing exceptional 2000 pennies that defied expectations. Grading services documented the growing number of submissions with strange anomalies, and auction houses began raising their eyebrows, and then, the stories started flowing. A retired veteran in Pennsylvania sorting through an old coffee can full of pennies found a 2000 penny with a bold die clash and double die obverse. He nearly discarded it, but curiosity pushed him to take it to a local coin dealer. That coin, once graded, sold for a staggering amount, well over $70,000. In Texas, a young student researching modern coin errors for a school project stumbled upon a 2000 penny with a missing clad layer and partial brockage. That penny, after careful inspection and professional authentication, sold at an online auction for more than $85,000. Midway through this wave of revelations, it became apparent that some 2001-cent coins, depending on the rarity of the error and the condition of the coin, were now worth between $55,000 and $95,000. What had once been dismissed as spare change was being exalted as numismatic gold. It wasn't speculation, it was reality, backed by sales, grading reports, and growing public awareness. These weren't collector dreams. These were actual events, pieces of tangible value tucked into coin albums and safety deposit boxes, whispering of the magic that can still be found in the smallest corners of the world. The excitement wasn't just about money. It was about possibility. For coin lovers, there was now a new reason to revisit those penny jars in basements and garages. People began magnifying every curve and corner of their 2000 pennies, searching for the subtle misalignments, the ghosted lettering, or the tiny, almost imperceptible errors that could transform their coin into a legendary find. Coin forums buzzed with posts, images, and discovery stories. YouTube videos showcased side-by-side comparisons and magnified views of certified specimens. A single cent had reignited a widespread passion for discovery, and what made the 2000 penny even more poetic was the year itself. It symbolized the dawn of a millennium, a numerical reset, a collective pause and leap forward. In that light, this penny didn't just represent money. It represented time, transition, and the delicate artistry of precision manufacturing. It reminded people that value is not always determined by intent, but by rarity, uniqueness, and the story behind what otherwise seems ordinary. Every scratch, every detail, every error became part of that story. No two were exactly alike. Even coins with similar errors carried unique identifiers, die markers, subtle wear patterns, slight discolorations, that turned them into individual treasures. It's easy to overlook a penny. Most people do. But the 2000 penny reminds us that the extraordinary often hides in plain sight. That among billions of near-identical objects, a few carry secrets that only the patient and curious will ever uncover. Today, coin experts continue to search for yet undiscovered varieties of the 2000 penny. Some believe there are still rare errors that have yet to surface, misstrikes, overstrikes, or experimental pieces quietly released into the world. The mystery continues, and with it, the allure. As years go by and more coins are lost to circulation, damage, or neglect, the surviving rare 2000 pennies will only become more valuable. Their numbers will dwindle. Their stories will grow richer. And for those who already possess one, knowingly or not, they hold more than metal, they hold a chapter of numismatic history, a spark of curiosity, and potentially, a fortune in disguise. So the next time a copper-toned penny from the year 2000 ends up in your hand or slips into your change, don't dismiss it. Turn it over. Study its edges. Look closely at Lincoln's eyes, the memorial's columns, the date. Because that little coin, minted quietly at the turn of the century, might just be the beginning of your own treasure story. The year 2015 brought with it such a story, tucked inside a coin that most people never gave a second glance. But for those who looked closely, those who understood the fine art of numismatics, the 2015 1-cent penny coin offered more than face value. It revealed a treasure, a mystery, and for a few, an astonishing financial windfall. To appreciate what makes the 2015 penny special, you must first step into the rhythm of a world that had grown used to speed. It was a time when smartphones ruled pockets, social media dictated conversations, and technology promised a future so fast, it could barely be followed. And yet, amidst this race toward the future, the United States Mint was still striking coins with an age-old ritual, presses clanking, dies kissing metal with pinpoint precision, and tiny copper-colored discs flowing into the currency system unnoticed. From this year's batch emerged something peculiar, coins that broke the rules without being visibly broken. Like most modern pennies, the 2015 version bore the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln. Sculpted with stoic calm and rich texture, his likeness stood as a reminder of America's enduring ideals. The reverse, unchanged since 2010, showcased the Union Shield, symbolizing unity and strength, 13 vertical stripes joined by a single horizontal bar and crowned by the national motto, E pluribus unum. But beneath this familiar imagery, something was different. In small pockets of the country, coin collectors and sharp-eyed citizens began discovering 2015 pennies that didn't look quite right. Their color was slightly off, too shiny or too dull. Their weight didn't match others. Some had subtle distortions in the lettering. And others, more intriguingly, bore doubling, those delicate, ghostly shifts in the text or Lincoln's features that hinted at a minting error. These anomalies weren't uniform, and they certainly weren't common. But they were real. Coins emerged with dramatic die cracks, improper alloy mixing, broad strikes, misalignments, and off-center impressions. A few were struck on improperly prepared planchets, leading to color shifts or thickness variations. Others had sharply defined doubling in God We Trust, or Liberty, with some showing unexpected distortions around the 2015 date. These weren't your average circulation coins, these were the anomalies that coin dealers, collectors, and graders dream of. The stories began surfacing quickly. A coin dealer in Missouri received a batch of unsearched rolls and found a 2015 penny with dramatic doubling on Lincoln's I and Liberty. It was pristine, straight from a mint-sealed box. After grading, it was given an MS-67 red designation with a verified double die error, a near-perfect storm of rarity and condition. It sold at auction for over $72,000. In California, a young hobbyist using only a loop discovered a coin in a Coinstar reject tray that had a misaligned die strike and off-center features. It sold privately to a serious collector for $55,000. And then came the flood of interest. Collectors realized this was no isolated incident. The 2015 penny had been quietly hiding its treasure in plain sight, and suddenly, it became a target for every sharp-eyed collector across the country. As more of these rare coins surfaced, and more were authenticated, the market adjusted to reflect their value. Depending on the type of error, the sharpness of the strike, and the preservation of the coin, values ranged anywhere from $35,000 to as high as $80,000. For a coin with just a single cent stamped on its face, that valuation was more than astonishing. It was legendary, and unlike coins from early American history, the 2015 penny was young. It was fresh. It was modern. That fact alone added another layer of intrigue. This wasn't a dusty relic from a forgotten past, it was a coin born in the era of smartphones and space travel, a coin that could still be found in pocket change, vending machines, or coffee shop counters. Anyone, anywhere, at any time, might unknowingly carry a piece of this story in their wallet. It became a frenzy, but a thoughtful one. People began revisiting their change jars, sorting through rolls of coins bought from local banks, and inspecting every 2015 penny they came across under magnification. And the beauty of it was the accessibility. You didn't need to be a seasoned collector or have expensive tools. All you needed was attention, patience, and curiosity, because the 2015 penny wasn't hiding in locked museum vaults or private auctions. It was still in circulation, whispering its story through scratches and shine, and what a story it was. Each error coin had its own tale. One bore a strike through from a piece of lint or metal debris trapped between die and planchet during minting, leaving a ghost-like scar across Lincoln's profile. Another had a slightly rotated die, shifting the alignment just enough to throw the design into elegant disarray. These weren't flaws, they were fingerprints of the minting process, artifacts of imperfection that gave each coin its unique personality and its extraordinary worth. As with all things rare and valuable, the window for discovery is shrinking. Each year, more of these rare 2015 pennies are found, graded, and locked into private collections or vaults. Fewer remain in the wild, and the ones that do become harder to spot. The competition is growing, and so is the expertise of collectors, making it all the more satisfying when a new treasure is uncovered. The legacy of the 2015 penny is still being written. Every day, someone might unknowingly hold a small fortune in their palm, a penny that holds a tale of unexpected value. It's a reminder that sometimes, the smallest things carry the biggest stories. That even in a world driven by speed and convenience, taking a moment to look closer can unveil something extraordinary. So the next time you find yourself handed a penny in change, especially one stamped with the year 2015, pause. Turn it over. Hold it to the light. Because what seems like the most ordinary object might just be your entry into a world of rare discovery and unbelievable value, 1 cent at a time. It's the 1991 1-cent penny coin, a piece of metal that millions have spent and forgotten. But beneath its modest surface lies a narrative so compelling, so rich in rarity and chance, that it could transform a single penny into a life-changing artifact. When the United States Mint rolled out the 1991 penny, the world was moving into a new era. The Cold War was drawing to a close, the internet was beginning to whisper its potential into the ears of the future, and technology was accelerating at an unstoppable pace. Yet through it all, tradition held firm at the mints. Dies were prepared, planchets were aligned, and presses fired with rhythmic consistency. On the obverse, as always, stood Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president, cast in immortal copper-plated zinc. His profile, stately and silent, remained unchanged, a face of resolve and remembrance. The reverse still bore the Lincoln Memorial, its pillars aligned in proud symmetry, a symbol of enduring democracy. To the untrained eye, every 1991 penny looked the same. It was just another coin, one of billions, passed from hand to hand, resting in pockets and drawers across the country. But fate, and the intricate dance of machinery, had other plans for a select few. In quiet corners of the minting process, something curious happened. A die shifted ever so slightly. A planchet wasn't set just right. A punch struck with imperfect force. And in those moments, error met creation, and a handful of 1991 pennies were born with distinguishing traits that would one day be recognized as treasures. Collectors began to notice these anomalies slowly, almost accidentally. A coin rolled out with a doubling effect on Lincoln's eye. Another had the letters of Liberty slightly off, like an echo in metal. There were coins with broad strikes, where the rim never fully formed, giving them a ghostly smooth edge. Some showed die cracks, tiny lightning bolts splitting the coin's face. And others were even more elusive, struck on foreign planchets, composed of different alloys, or bearing off-center designs that danced to their own rhythm. These were not mistakes, they were rare fingerprints of a mechanical process that occasionally wandered from perfection, and as the years passed, stories began to emerge. A young boy in Oregon, sorting through his grandfather's coin jars, found a 1991 penny that seemed oddly shiny. When examined by a collector, the coin turned out to have been struck on a copper planchet instead of zinc, something that should have been phased out years before. It was authenticated and auctioned for an astonishing $63,000. Another enthusiast in Florida discovered a 1991 penny with dramatic doubling on the "In God We Trust" motto, the kind of feature that error collectors dream about. That piece, preserved in exceptional condition, sold for $78,000 to a private buyer. These weren't isolated cases, they were signals that the 1991 penny held secrets waiting to be revealed. As word spread through numismatic communities, attention turned sharply to the 1991 minting year. Collectors began pulling rolls from banks, examining every coin under microscopes and magnifiers, hoping to find that hidden gem. It wasn't long before the market began to recognize the value embedded in this unassuming coin. Depending on the type of error, the quality of preservation, and the demand among collectors, the value of a rare 1991 penny could range anywhere from $35,000 to an astonishing $80,000. A coin meant to buy a piece of candy now had the potential to change someone's fortune. What made these coins so valuable wasn't just rarity, it was the story they told. A mechanical misstep, frozen in time. A deviation from the norm, passed through countless hands before being recognized for its uniqueness. And the fact that these coins remained in circulation for years meant that anyone, anywhere, might unknowingly carry one in their change purse, wallet, or car cup holder. That possibility electrified collectors and casual hobbyists alike. Everyone wanted to believe they could be the one to find the next high-value penny, hiding in plain sight, but it wasn't just about money. The 1991 penny represented something deeper, a bridge between everyday life and historical curiosity. It was a symbol of how much value could be hidden in the mundane, how a tiny object could carry with it not just economic worth but also a slice of the American story. Each penny became a portal into a world where craftsmanship met chance, and where the smallest mistakes became the most coveted features. The fascination only grew as more varieties were discovered, coins struck with rotated dies, double denomination strikes, and even transitional errors that suggested a shift in materials. Numismatists pored over these findings, analyzing patterns, studying minting reports, and comparing die states. The 1991 penny had become more than just currency. It had become a canvas of history, error, and art. Today, as more of these special 1991 pennies are graded and stored away in private collections, their availability diminishes. The window for discovery narrows, and their value continues to rise. For every coin that's found, dozens remain elusive, tucked away in old jars, forgotten purses, or dusty attics. They wait patiently, their stories untold, their worth unrecognized. So, the next time you receive a penny in your change, look closely. Especially if it reads 1991. It might seem like the most ordinary thing you've ever held, a relic of small transactions and forgotten days. But it could also be something far greater, a symbol of rarity, a ticket to the numismatic world, and perhaps, a fortune disguised in copper. Because in the world of coins, it's not the face value that counts, it's the story, the rarity, and the eyes that take the time to truly see. Es. It jingles in our pockets, it slides across counters, it rests at the bottom of old jars, silent and forgotten. But every once in a while, hidden within the ordinary, there lies a story so remarkable, so utterly unexpected, that it changes the way we see everything. Such is the tale of the 2008 1-cent penny coin, a coin minted like billions of others, yet carrying secrets that could turn a single cent into a life-changing discovery. The year was 2008. A year of change, of history in the making. The United States was on the edge of a financial crisis, and an election was about to alter the course of American leadership. Amidst the political turbulence and economic uncertainty, the U.S. Mint continued its work, striking coins that would carry the legacy of a nation in miniature form. Among the masses came the 2008 Lincoln penny, copper-plated zinc, with Abraham Lincoln's steady profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial standing firm on the reverse. Familiar, comforting, predictable. Or so it seemed. Minted in Philadelphia and Denver, the 2008 penny was supposed to be like all the others before it. But buried within the millions were a few outliers, coins that escaped unnoticed with minute but powerful differences. Some bore errors so rare that only trained eyes could spot them. There were those struck with double dies, where inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," appeared almost shadowed, layered in a mysterious echo. Others displayed off-center strikes that left Lincoln's face precariously close to the rim. And a few were struck on foreign planchets, giving the coin an unusual color, weight, and sound, details that might go unnoticed until examined closely. The collectors, ever alert and insatiably curious, began to notice. Rumors started floating through online forums and coin conventions. There was something peculiar about the 2008 penny. Something valuable. Stories began surfacing of individuals who, by sheer chance, stumbled across these flawed yet exquisite pieces. One young woman in Michigan discovered a 2008 penny in her tip jar that had doubling on Lincoln's IN on the date. She tossed it into her purse without a second thought, but later, at a coin show, a dealer's eyes lit up the moment he saw it. That single coin later fetched $58,000 at a private auction. Another collector in Nevada unearthed a 2008 penny that weighed slightly more than it should have. It was struck on a copper blank instead of zinc, a rare transitional error, and sold for an impressive $72,000. These weren't isolated events. They were part of a growing realization that a handful of 2008 pennies were far more than mere coins, they were treasures. Depending on the type of error, the condition of the coin, and the rarity of the variant, the value of these elusive 2008 1-cent coins could range anywhere from $40,000 to $90,000. That's right, a single penny, designed to represent the most modest of denominations, could carry a value equivalent to a luxury vehicle or a down payment on a house. And the best part? These coins weren't locked away in museums. They were out there. Circulated. Hidden in plain sight. What added to the mystique was timing. 2008 was the final full year of the Lincoln Memorial reverse design before the bicentennial redesign arrived in 2009 to commemorate Lincoln's 200th birthday. That meant the 2008 issue was both an end and a beginning, a final salute to a long-standing design and a precursor to a new era. That transition made every detail matter more. Collectors and historians alike began to view the 2008 penny not just as a coin, but as a historical bookmark, a final page in a well-read chapter. But not all valuable 2008 pennies bore dramatic errors. Some gained their worth through exceptional preservation, coins that, by some miracle, remained untouched, untarnished, uncirculated. Coins graded MS-68 and above became highly sought after, especially those with satin finishes or struck in mint sets with pristine condition. These ultra-high-grade coins added another dimension to the chase. You didn't need a dramatic error to have a treasure. Sometimes, perfection alone was enough. As news spread, more people began sifting through their change with fresh eyes. Bank rolls were bought, sorted, and scrutinized under bright lamps and magnifying glasses. The hunt had begun, and with every story of a high-value 2008 penny discovery, the excitement grew. It wasn't just about coins anymore, it was about possibilities. About knowing that something incredibly valuable could be hiding in the most unexpected place. That feeling, that chance, was priceless. What's perhaps most remarkable is that the story of the 2008 penny is still being written. New varieties continue to be discovered. Errors once dismissed as anomalies are now catalogued and celebrated. The coin has become a favorite among modern collectors, not just for its design or its history, but for the mystery that surrounds it. Each one holds potential. Each one could be the one. So if you happen to glance at the bottom of a drawer, or sort through the change at the grocery store, or tip over a dusty jar in the garage, pay close attention. Because that tiny, unassuming 2008 penny might just be something more. It might be a bridge to history. A conversation starter. A collector's dream. Or, with a little luck and the right pair of eyes, a discovery worth tens of thousands of dollars. In a world full of distractions and noise, there's something magical about finding meaning in the smallest things. A reminder that value isn't always obvious, that sometimes, the greatest treasures are those hiding in plain sight. And that even something as simple, as humble, as overlooked as a penny can be the key to unlocking a story far greater than its size would suggest. So never underestimate what you hold in your hands. That little copper coin might just be your lucky penny, the kind of luck that doesn't just bring change, but changes everything.